But when I came into the water, there was something limitless about my body. There was a time and a space where I could actually believe that I'm not just this body, that I'm literally a soul living in this planet through physical form. And it's in the water that I really felt the essence of me being a soul, and that my body is just a physical form. And this was really a process, and if you ask me how long, I would say that the process continues.
Arjana came to America in '92 to learn Watsu, and she had, with her partner Aman, developed what it ends. So she came the following year with a manual and with a course description and with certain moves that could be taught. And that is how the form of water dance as a form of bodywork was created by Arjana and Aman. And so this was simultaneously happening as Watsu was being created. They didn't know about Watsu at that time.
Aquatic bodywork is a relatively new form of bodywork. There has been aquatic therapy in the past where people were shown how to do exercises and led through exercises in water. Aquatic bodywork is different in that we pick up a person, hold them and float them and stretch them and are with them during the whole process. I developed this over 25 years ago here at Harbin Hotsprings, where I brought up students to teach them Zen Shiatsu, which I had studied in Japan. In Zen Shiatsu, we use a lot of stretching, and I found that floating people in the water, I could do the same stretches, and they were more effective in water than on land. I also found something else. Starting to float people, I found that there was a greater sense of connection when you're holding someone in your arms and floating with them. Often a sense of heart connection, very strong, a sense of oneness. And I wanted to explore that further, and I was showing all my students in Zen Shiatsu how to go in water and start working in water and, with that. Right from the beginning, we started offering drop-in classes to visitors coming up to Harbin where they could float each other for an hour and a half or 2 hours. And we saw that it was having really profound effects on them, just being able to hold someone and float them and stretch them a little. So as I started developing Watsu, I kept in mind that it had two different paths. One was the developing professionals who would go out and work in clinics and spas and that. And the other was a path in which people could just learn to float each other and feel that connection and oneness that comes when you hold and float someone in your arms.
My name is Simone Schiffnadel, and I'm a body worker. I've been doing massage for a while. Once I learned Watsu at the school, it was more challenging than I thought it would be to be in the water all the time. Definitely brings up a lot of emotional stuff and physical stuff. And once I was able to kind of relax into it, I really loved the balance that you find in between the holding and the letting go. In the water, you're actually being held by someone, which is something that just doesn't happen in everyday life with, other than the people that you're intimate with. So it's a wonderful way to just really experience that closeness in a very safe, supported way. And at the same time, you're being supported more by the water. I think it's safe to say than the person in there just there to offer just enough support. But it's a different kind of relaxation in the water. It's almost like you're in another place, and you get to go really deep and really within, if that's where you choose to go. So it's a different plane, for sure.
And in the process of looking again at this, I started realizing what is involved in this containment. When we hold someone, just how that relates to the other forms of energy that we've always been feeling in our work. And the What we learned first going into the water was how deeply we could go into the breath, into the emptiness at the bottom of the breath. And because our body is moved in water with the breath, and that emptiness was to share that with another person. It's easy to go into that. And that emptiness is right at our base, at our center, the base of our center. And this is the same place that other forms of energy have their origin. We have the chakras, which have a kind of energy that works more as resonance, like tuning forks, that is vibrational. We have meridians, which is energy that's flowing through the body through channels. Both of these have their origin in that base. And that's the base that we drop into the emptiness at the bottom of the breath. And as I was thinking about that, I thought how those two forms of energy also combine when we see waves in people's bodies, which is very common when they're being floated in water for their body to go in waves. And also the experience that people have of that wave rising, which is sometimes called kundalini. And the Taoist method of taking that rising wave and bringing it back into the emptiness at the bottom of the breath. All of these start from that base and work up from that.
How do you teach presence? Because I feel like presence is really the essence of where the healing comes from. When I'm working with clients, conscious touch is so important to be able to touch someone in a way that is non-invasive. I teach healing dance. It's a modality of aquatic bodywork. I got into aquatic bodywork when I was in research, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, hey, you should go to Harbin and get swished around in the water." And since I'm a water lover, I thought, well, that sounds really great. So I did, and it was one of those sessions that really changed my life. The thing that really got to me was the intimate quality of it, and the beautiful body work and the feeling of the water. And I just knew that I had to learn how to do it. So in my training, I have had basically all the teachers, all the original teachers I've trained with, and Harold and Arjana in water dance, and Alexander in healing dance, and all of them have given me a very particular essence of how they teach and who they are. And so I worked with Alexander quite a bit, and he's the creator of healing dance. He used to be a ballet dancer and a choreographer, and so he brings that into the work of healing dance, so that we are dancing with our partners in the water. He also brings Traeger work into the water, which is creating rhythms in the body. And in the creating of rhythms, there becomes a real trance-like quality that becomes very healing. In creating a safe space, it's about accepting each person exactly where they are. You know, when I go to the water, walking into the pool, it becomes a sacred space where I can meet someone exactly where they are and not try and change them, and not try and make them any different or heal them or be a mother or be a lover or anything like that. It's just holding space for them. The land here that we do the classes on is very sacred. It used to be a sacred Indian sanctuary. We also bring that into our classes of really feeling this earth that we're on. And when we go into the water, feeling the earth beneath our feet.
The dancing drops now below the surface of the water into the depth. Here follow wide circular movements around the body's axis, turning, bending, stretching and diving deeper. I begin to forget about time and space. There is no noise, only the sporadic vibrating humming from my partner and the gentle rushing of the water that surrounds me.
My name is Richard, and Richard Bach, and I've been involved with bodywork ever since I came to Harbin about 14 years ago. Hold the grip. Just let's see. So when I hear you question, about the breath and what does it do when it shuts down, well, when your breathing shuts down, you die to the one extreme, and then if you just take it to the other extreme and the breath is really flowing freely, you become very ecstatic and alive in every cell of your body. And the way we effectively shut the emotional body down, and most of us learn that early on in childhood because it's too much or too loud, is to shut the breathing down. And that's how the emotional body stays under wraps, it stays controlled. And so the aquatic bodywork has just been another avenue to get in touch with the breath and really encourage the breath and coax it out and really find the places in the body where there's holding, where there's old patterns, where there's a shutdown. And then by bringing awareness to that, by bringing attention to it, that can start to open up and start to release people. That the essence of all body work is that when the practitioner is really present and open, spaciously open in a way that the receiver can journey their deepest fears, their sense into the darkest secrets or whatever is there emotionally, physically, whatever is still held. When there is a space that is safe enough to do that then healing occurs. Okay. That then we come out of the past and we come into the present and into the body more fully.
And besides just maybe even a general theme of trust, often it's this process of trusting their emotions. All these messages that people have in their lives, it's not okay to cry, buck up, whatever those messages are that have become conditioned, that suddenly when they have the experience that it's okay, I can let this feeling move through me, and that it actually has a wisdom and a healing in it, and it does come to a completion. It's not going to last forever and ever and ever. That has tremendous impact in their experience. We touch back into our essence and where we are whole and complete, and oftentimes from there see a lot of our patterns and where we developed them, what we formed beliefs around.
All of a sudden I realized that this is like the posture I had with my father. Even if it didn't always look that way, my body was always that way. because there was, I was getting beaten up a lot. And to give the body this permission to have this, but in a safe space. So on that day, something huge. It's hard to describe because it wasn't like, it had some psychological impacts, but my relationship with my father changed that day.
When traumas like this come up for people, we don't attend to them like in a psychological way. We don't process through stuff. It is just that when the space is right, that people can come to their own realizations, their own recognitions, without any verbal prompting or without any searching or processing. Yeah. And that's so beautiful about this work.
But to give the body permission to just do whatever it wants to do, and when you notice that there is just you're repeatedly in a pattern and there is some mental dialogue going on and it's going round and round, come back to the body, see where your body wants attention, and in that attention maybe something can soften and open so that freedom can find its way again with your body.
For us, water dance is almost a little bit of an excuse, yeah, that the essence of it is really about connecting, about showing up, and water dance is simple enough in its form, the mechanics of it, that when we are teaching it, that leaves room for really sensing the essence of this. What is it like when we are really empty, when we're not preoccupied with anything else, when the client and the client's process is just absorbing us completely.
There's also a quality of timelessness and suspension that happens in the water. Again, for me, it's the beauty of the silence that's in the water. And I really have come to this place with teaching water dance where I feel like it's not that you learn water dance, you actually become water dance. So the water is a master teacher. It's always guiding us in the direction of more fluidity. That's its wondrous offering. We have this water goddess on the altar always, and her name is Nganga, and the mythology with her is that she seduces particular people into the water and keeps them there and imparts all of the healing secrets and this mystery school of the water. And at some point when she feels that they're ready, she turns them loose again, and they become the Ngangas of the tribe. So they're the healers of the tribe.
All life originated in the water. The hidden but still functioning diving reflex is proof of this. The body's metabolism, muscle activity, heartbeat, and breathing are automatically slowed when the face is sprayed with water and a profound relaxing and meditative state follows.
Back and coming to the center. I heard about Watsu. I was drawn to it just from the description because I was also at the time teaching Tai Chi, and I was drawn to the description of the meditative movements. My specialty is adaptive aquatics, so being in the water as much as I've been and having that as my profession and hearing about Watsu the two just met. Opening the heart space, finding the tip of that inhale. So the first stance is extremely important because it sets the tone for all the movement. The opening stance is wide, as you do in Watsu. The knees do not go beyond the toes. So the kwa, the groin area, you feel is going to go on stretch.
Being really close to somebody and physical contact, that's something we are afraid of. I mean, we hug maybe somebody, but it's not for a long time, and then you let go and then you feel awkward already. And here this is very natural, and I really enjoy that, especially being touched and being held by somebody else, because since I have never really experienced that as a child, it was an issue for me. And this has certainly helped. I mean, now I've received so many sessions, and I'm much more comfortable with other people, being close to other people.
During the session, I felt that it was both. It was the therapist that was working with me, the Watsu practitioner, the water, and also the movements of Watsu. First of all, I felt very met, very respected by the Watsu therapist. I was seen as a whole person, not as a case coming in to have a part of my body worked on. Lying down in the water was incredibly relaxing, soothing, and supportive, where I was out of pain, probably for the first time in 2 years. In other modalities, I had felt a lot of, pain as I was receiving the therapy. I felt no pain at all in Watsu.
In a Watsu session, whether it's in a class or just a regular session, what happens is that we slow down. And I think that's one of the magic things that Watsu has to offer the world, because in our fast-paced society, we're always doing, and we're actually believe our self-worth has to do with all the things that we've done.
Some people get confused and think of Watsu as a regression therapy, and it's not. We're not trying to regress anybody. We're not trying to put them back in the womb or put them back in their mother's arms or rebirth them, but people can have these kinds of experiences because that's what their body is craving, or what they need, their soul is craving, or what they need. But by helping them go into those experiences, we're also helping them go through it, because there's a sense of continuum that arrives in the water. When you have someone moving through the water, all kinds of emotions can come up during it, but because it's continual, because the movement continues, they're able to let go of those emotions and go on to something else. And so traditionally they go through many different states.
I feel like this is where the water, the aquatic body work that's taught here can come together with other forms of subtle energetic work, energy active body work, in creating a medium for the person receiving it to open in this underlying process that moves toward wholeness. It seems like it's in the water quite often that we can see how things flow together, quite obviously. And the principles of energy active body work and craniosacral work seem to be alive and well when you take them in the waters.
So we're left with this
no connection with being, but with this whole feeling of I'm not good enough and I have a lot to do to make me okay. And my sense of being in the water is that it has to do with trust and support and let go. And with Rajneesh, my friend in India, it was all about learning to let go. Learning to let go of your old personality, learning to let go of your old habits, learning to let go of your old judgment and mind and your beliefs about things. So my sense is that when we go in the water, there is suddenly this gap.
Exactly.
And in that gap, anything's possible.
And that holding is a containment, is a sense of containment. And the infant, in that case, it's like being back in the womb. They feel the safety and the security of that containment. And as adults, we lose that sense of being held, of containment, outside of intimate relationships, but we don't have really access to that. And Watsu was bringing people back into that. And I wanted also to have that on land, the benefits of containment could also be felt on land. So I developed a form that I called Tansu that brings the kind of holding, the nurturing holding, and using our whole body and stretching people while on land. And we've trained practitioners to do that, to go out and offer it to the public. It's getting a lot more attention in Europe than it is in this country, because America tends to be more puritanical and
He's face up usually. Grab him by the hips, push him let him go. Grab him again. Let him go. One more time. Go.
And she's above the surface right now, and I'm watching her breath, and as she's breathing on her next inhale, I'm going to slowly submerge her, and then I'm going to lean back, seaweed them.
So I've seen a few of you stop at the last arm because you don't want to, and just remember that last release is really pretty precious. Like, you've done this boom, 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 and then all of a sudden they're totally free. So don't forget that one.
And I want to add
Otherwise they
one
won't be free.
comment, a little finesse for people with long necks like myself. If when you're pulling that last arm, if you keep more on the side rather than face up, because face up, my neck starts to engage, right? So if you keep the long neck person more on their side as you're pulling that last arm and then let go, they're able to more let go in their neck.
I can see that from the outside looking in, that people can mistake what we're doing. They might, depending on their eyes and where their upbringing, where they're coming from, being that close with someone is very intimate, and it can be mistaken as a sexual intimacy. And Watsu is beyond that, or any of the aquatic body work is beyond that. So it's interesting that our culture will, if two people are close, rather than seeing that as this is real connection here happening now, and it's a heart connection, our culture tends to go, oh, they're really close. It's a sexual connotation. And water work is not that. But pure intimacy is a closeness from the heart. Some people have broken it down to as intimacy is into me, see. That someone is holding them in such a closeness and connection that the person can begin to feel their own intimacy with themselves. It's not about the therapist.
it's about coming into your own intimacy with yourself, with the oneness that you feel with creation. In aquatic work, we experience boundaries, like I talked about with exercises. We do self-inquiry of what is a boundary to you. Often, students have no idea, or clients do not know what a boundary is for them. Or how do you know when you've crossed someone else's boundaries? And how do you know when your boundaries have been crossed? Because often we don't know it until too late.
I'm supporting the mastoid process. And just swaying her back and forth. With the exhale, she's in flexion. Inhale, she's on extension. So on her next exhale, I'll just continue the move with the submersion. Free the head. And continue the move under the water.
I'm just pressing him towards my belly. Change hands on the sacrum. Come to the front. Extension. Come to the back of the knee, and I'm pulling the knee. Flexion.
There are people in 50 different countries on the registry who have studied Watsu. I've taught in probably between 20 and 30 countries myself, and it's every year for the last 25 I've gone to Europe and taught in many countries there, and I've taught in Brazil 4 times, and other Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Korea. It's around the world, and I'm very pleased with how much I'm seeing it helping people around the world. Something I never expected when it first started. When it first was starting.
Started 6 years ago to teach in India at a quiet healing center in Auroville, and this year we started also in this beautiful pool in Goa, in Asagao. So what I like much to teach here in India is that the atmosphere is quite more calm than in the West, and the rhythm is different, of course. And this allowed to the student to come more relaxed and to finish the class also more relaxed. Comparing in the West, so there's another special thing that we start in India. It's Watsu for pregnant women. But it's not only for the women. If the husband is also joining, we give Watsu to the couple. The benefit, physically, the benefit that pregnant women can attend with this work in the warm water is the most important is to release the back. No? And especially the lumbar area. Last but not least is the benefit. I think the most benefit you can have is in the quality of the relationship that you can build with the partner and the husband and the baby that you are waiting. This is the most important.
Havana started, or Harold started this school 25 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Breathe that in, 25! I found an old song. It was written in 1938, and Bob Hope, any of you who are old enough to know who Bob Hope was, he sang this at the end of every show, and it's called Thanks for the Memory. Thanks for the memory of classes that inspired and teachers we've admired, of questioning and insight that set our souls afire. How lovely it was. Thanks for the memory. From the bottom of our hearts, the tops, the sides, the bottom of the breath, the emptiness at the bottom of